For all living creatures, a human birth is indeed rare. Much more difficult it is to attain full manhood. Rarer than this is a sattvic attitude in life. Even after gaining all these rare chances, to have steadfastness on the spiritual path, as explained in the Vedic literature, is yet rarer. Much more so to have a correct understanding of the deep import of the scriptures. Discrimination between the real and the unreal, realization of spiritual glory, and ultimately to get fully established in the living consciousness that the self in me is the self in all. These come only later on and culminate in one's liberation. This kind of perfect liberation cannot be obtained without the meritorious deeds of many millions of well-lived lives. Very rare indeed are these three things, and happen only due to the utmost grace of God: a human birth, a burning desire for liberation, and the blessed refuge of an illuminated sage. Is there a greater fool than the one who, having somehow obtained this rare human birth, together with masculine temperament, and also a complete knowledge of scriptures, does not strive hard for self-realization? One verily commits suicide, clinging to things unreal. Therefore, the learned seeker who is striving to gain this liberation, and who has renounced all his desires for pleasures in the external sense objects, should duly approach a good and generous master, and must live attuned to the words of the master. He alone is considered qualified to inquire after the supreme reality, who has discrimination, detachment, qualities of calmness, and a burning desire for liberation. Among the means and conditions necessary for liberation, devotion alone is supreme. A constant contemplation of one's own real nature is called devotion. The highest knowledge arises from an inquiry into the meaning of the Vedanta. By this knowledge, immediately a total annihilation of all sorrows of birth and death takes place. Faith, devotion, and the practice of meditation, these are declared in the scriptures as the chief factors that help a seeker to attain liberation. The first step to liberation is the complete detachment from impermanent things. Then follow calmness, self-control, forbearance, and complete renunciation of all the selfish actions. Thereafter come hearing, then reflection on what has been heard, and lastly, long, constant, and continuous meditation on the truth for the wise one. Ultimately, that learned one attains the supreme nirvikalpa state and realizes the bliss of nirvana in this very life. Know that mortality soon overtakes a foolish man who walks the dangerous path of sense pleasures. Whereas, one who walks the right path according to the instructions of well-meaning and noble gurus, along with his own reasoning faculty, he achieves the end. Know for certain this to be true. The deer, the elephant, the moth, the fish, and the honeybee, these five meet death because of their bondage to one of the five senses. What then is the condition of a person who is attached to all five? Sense objects are even more virulent in their tragic effects than a king cobra. Poison is fatal to the one who swallows it, but the sense objects kill him who merely looks at them with his eyes. One who is liberated from the terrible bonds of desires for sense objects, so very difficult to renounce, is alone fit for liberation and none else, even if well versed in all the 6 schools of philosophy. If indeed you have a craving for liberation, avoid sense objects from a distance as if they were poison, and daily cultivate the virtues of contentment, compassion, forgiveness, straightforwardness, calmness, and self-control. This body is essentially an instrument for realizing the Paramatman. He who does not constantly use it for liberating himself from the bondage born of beginningless ignorance, but constantly seeks to gratify it, destroys himself. Conquer this great attachment to your body, wife, children, etc. By conquering these, sages reach the supreme state of Lord Vishnu. For a student seeking liberation, infatuation with the body, etc. is a tragic death. He alone deserves liberation who has totally conquered this attachment. Due to ignorance, a person identifies the self with the not-self. This is the bondage and brings in its wake the miseries of birth and death. Through this, one considers the unreal body as real, identifies with it, nourishes it and preserves it. In the absence of discrimination, the snake is mistaken for a rope, and great danger befalls one who seizes it through this false notion. So listen, my friend, it is mistaking the not-self for the self that creates bondage. Just as on a cloudy day, when the sun is completely hidden by dense clouds, cold, shivering blasts afflict a person, so too, when the self is concealed by utter ignorance, the dreadful Maya afflicts this foolish person with endless sorrows. Neither by weapons, nor by wind, nor by fire, nor by millions of actions can this bondage be destroyed. By nothing save the wondrous sword of knowledge, which comes from discrimination given by the grace of Lord, can we end this bondage. One who has deep devotion to the scriptures and is firmly established in one's swadharma and is of pure mind realizes the Supreme Self. By this knowledge alone is samsara destroyed, root and branch. Now I will tell you of the real nature of the Supreme Self, realizing which one becomes free from all bondage and attains liberation. Something there is, the absolute entity, the eternal substratum for all the experiences. It is the witness of the three states and is distinct from all the five sheaths. That which knows everything that happens in the waking, dream and deep sleep states. That which is aware of the presence or absence of the mind and its functions. That is the Self. That which sees all but which no one can see. That which illumines the intellect, etc., but which they cannot illumine. That is the Self. That by which the universe is pervaded, but which is not pervaded by anything, which when it shines, the entire universe shines as its reflection. That is the Self. This is the innermost Self, the primordial being, whose essential nature is the constant experience of indivisible bliss. Neither it is born, nor does it die, neither does it grow, nor does it decay. Being eternal, it does not undergo any change. Even when this body is destroyed, it does not cease to exist. With a regulated mind and purified intellect, directly realize yourself as the essential self and cross the shoreless ocean of worldly existence with its waves of births and deaths. The true nature of reality is to be known by a first-hand personal experience through the eye of clear understanding and not through the report of learned men. The beauty of the moon is enjoyed through one's own eyes. Can one appreciate it through the description by others? There is no liberation for a person of mere book knowledge, howsoever well read in the philosophy of Vedanta, so long as one does not give up false identification with the body, sense organs, etc., which are unreal. I am the body, thus thinks an ignorant person. A person of mere book knowledge considers oneself to be the combination of the body and the soul, but the realized sage knows that I am Brahman and looks upon the eternal Atman as his self. Cease to identify yourself with this body comprised of skin, flesh, fat, bones and filth, O ignorant one. Instead, identify yourself with the absolute Brahman, the self of all. Only then does one attain supreme peace. Blessed you are, for you wish to attain the absolute Brahman by freeing yourself from the bondage of ignorance. Indeed, you have fulfilled your life and glorified your family. Considering you to be a seeker after liberation, void of the taints of this dark age, with the mind free from desires, I have today revealed to you, again and again, as I would to my own son, the supreme and profound secret, the inmost essence of Vedanta, the crown of all Vedas. Many thanks for listening. If you are new to the path of Vedanta, we recommend you watch this video containing the essential qualities that a spiritual person should have. If you like our videos, please don't forget to subscribe and press the like button. It will also help us grow and spread this timeless wisdom of Sanatana Dharma to others.